Ma'am, need to see some ID. This ain't your business.
I'm reporting a public interaction officer. I'm a citizen. I belong here.
You don't look like you're from around here. Let me see that ID or we're going to have a problem.
Unless you can tell me the legal reason, I'm not required to show you anything.
She ain't doing
Camera's
nothing,
still
man.
rolling.
A soaked bus terminal. A black woman with a phone in her hand. A white officer with his hand on his belt. And one sentence that would light a fire across a city. "You don't look like you belong here," the officer said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Show me proof you're a citizen." The woman didn't raise her voice. She didn't move fast. She only looked into the camera on his chest and answered softly, "I am a citizen. I belong here." What the officer did next would cost him his badge, his reputation, and the city millions. But what made this moment unforgettable was not the fall of a man in uniform. It was the rise of a woman everyone thought was powerless. Because the woman he tried to shame in public was not just a quiet stranger at a bus stop. She was Imani Walker. And the camera never blinked. Before we go deeper, take 1 second to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss stories like this. And drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your voice matters here. Now let's go back to that rain-soaked platform in Columbus, Ohio. "Why are you filming my officer?" Officer Brent Hollister snapped. "I'm filming the interaction," Imani replied calmly. "That's legal." Hollister stepped closer. Too close. "You people always say that," he said, eyes narrow. "Always looking for trouble." The Latino teen beside Imani froze. His hands were shaking. He looked no older than 16. Imani kept her phone steady. "You stopped him for walking," she said. "That's not a crime." Hollister scoffed. "And who asked you?" "I asked me," she said quietly. That was when his tone changed. "You even from around here?" he asked. "Because you don't sound like you belong." People under the shelter looked away. Shoes shuffled. Nobody spoke. Rain hammered the metal roof like a drum. And the body camera kept rolling. Imani Walker did not look powerful. Her navy trench coat was old at the cuffs. Her sneakers had thin soles. Her hair was pulled back with 2 bent pins she found in her glove box weeks ago. She drove a faded gray Honda with 1 working window. She lived in a small apartment above a bakery that smelled like sugar every morning. She worked long hours as a civil rights paralegal. She spoke softly because she learned early that loud black women were punished. But inside her was a spine made of steel. Imani had grown up watching her father fight city halls and lose. She watched her mother get followed in stores. She watched her brother get stopped for nothing. She promised herself she would learn the law so nobody could lie to her again. She promised herself she would never let fear take her voice. That promise was standing in front of Officer Hollister now. "Let me see your ID," Hollister demanded. "Why?" Imani asked. "Because I said so." "That's not a legal reason," she replied. He laughed. "You think you know the law?" "Yes," she said. He leaned in closer. "You're acting suspicious," he said. "Filming police. Standing with suspects. Refusing to comply." Imani pointed to the teen. "He hasn't done anything." Hollister waved her off. "People like you always defend criminals." The word "you" hung heavy in the air. A woman on a bench whispered, "Just give him your ID." Imani shook her head gently. "I will when there is cause." Hollister's jaw tightened. "You know what I think?" he said. "I think you're not even a citizen. I think you're lying about who you are." The teen gasped softly. Imani blinked once. "I was born in this country," she said. "I belong here." Hollister smirked. "Prove it." The humiliation was sharp. Public. Slow. People watched. Nobody helped. A bus pulled in. Doors hissed open. Nobody moved. The camera did not blink. Imani's hand trembled slightly on her phone. Not from fear. From memory. She remembered her uncle in uniform, buried with a folded flag. She remembered nights translating legal words for neighbors who couldn't read them. She remembered courtroom wins nobody clapped for. She remembered who she was. And she chose not to say it. Not yet. Hollister turned to the teen. "You too. ID." The boy shook his head. "I left it at home." "Of course you did," Hollister muttered. Imani stepped between them. "You cannot detain him for that." Hollister's hand touched his belt. "You better move." "I won't," she said softly. A crowd began to form. Phones lifted. Rain streaked down Hollister's face. "You're about to get yourself arrested," he warned. "For standing," she said. "For filming," he said. "For existing," her eyes replied. A tall man in a soaked suit stepped forward. "Officer," he said carefully, "she's right. You need cause." Hollister ignored him. A woman whispered, "That officer is going too far." Hollister raised his voice. "You're all interfering now." Imani did not move. She only said one thing. "This camera is your mirror." Imani remembered the first time she saw a badge used like a wall. She was 12. Now she was 32. And she was done being quiet inside. But she stayed quiet outside. Because she knew something Hollister did not. She knew who was watching. Imani reached into her coat. Slowly. Carefully. Hollister tensed. She pulled out a folded card. She did not show it yet. She just held it. Her voice was steady. "You are speaking to someone who knows exactly what you are allowed to do," she said. Hollister laughed. "We'll see about that." "You act real brave for someone in sneakers," he mocked. A man in the crowd winced. Imani did not respond. "You probably work some little desk job," Hollister added. "Think you run the world." Imani smiled once. Just once. And it scared him more than anger would have. Rain slowed. The terminal grew quiet. Even the buses seemed to hold their breath. Imani finally spoke. "Officer Hollister," she said. He froze. "How do you know my name?" he asked. She looked straight into the body camera. "Because this is not your first complaint." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Hollister's confidence cracked like glass. Imani raised the card slightly. Not enough for him to see. Enough for him to know something was wrong. "You should call your supervisor," she said calmly. Hollister swallowed. "I don't take orders from you." She nodded. "You will." And that was when the bus terminal doors opened again. And everything began to change.
The rain returned. Harder. Louder. And the camera kept watching a man in uniform realize he was no longer in control. Power does not always shout. Sometimes it just waits for the truth to arrive. The terminal doors slid open with a long, wet hiss. Cold air rushed in. So did the truth. Officer Hollister did not know it yet. But the next 10 minutes would erase every lie he had spoken. The rain poured harder now. It bounced off the concrete and ran in thin rivers toward the street. Imani still held the folded card. Not showing it. Not hiding it. Just waiting. Hollister stared at it like it was a blade. "Put that away," he said. Imani shook her head once. No. The crowd had grown. Maybe 20 people now. Phones were up. Faces were tight. The Latino teen stood behind Imani, eyes wide, breathing fast. Hollister stepped closer again. "You're not in charge here." Imani's voice stayed soft. "You're right. I'm not." She finally opened the card. And everything changed. The card was dark blue. Gold letters. A small seal. Hollister blinked. Then blinked again. His face lost color. It was not a lawyer card. It was not a press card. It was not a citizen card. It was a federal identification card. With Imani Walker's name. And under it in small clear letters. Senior Federal Civil Rights Investigator, U.S. Department of Justice. The crowd gasped. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Hollister's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Imani held it steady. "I investigate police departments," she said quietly. "Including yours." Silence crashed into the terminal. Even the rain felt loud now. Hollister took a step back. Just one. But everyone saw it. You're lying," he said. Imani tilted the card slightly toward the body camera. The camera caught it all. Clear. Sure. Real. She looked at him. "I was sent here because of 5 complaints," she said. 3 of them have your name." Hollister swallowed hard. "I was off duty." "You were on duty," she corrected. "And now you are on record." His hands dropped from his belt. His voice cracked. "You set me up." Imani shook her head. "No. You exposed yourself." Boots splashed on wet concrete. A tall black woman in a raincoat stepped into view. Captain Marlene DuPont. Her face was calm. Her eyes were fire. "Hollister," she said. He turned slowly. "Captain?" She looked at Imani. Then she nodded. "Investigator Walker," she said. "I'm sorry I'm late." The crowd gasped again. Hollister's shoulders sagged. Imani lowered her card. "You're right on time," she said. Captain DuPont turned to Hollister. "Did you accuse her of not being a citizen?" He did not answer. "Did you demand ID without cause?" Still silent. "Did you mock her?" His lips trembled. "Yes," he whispered. Captain DuPont turned to the crowd. "This officer is now relieved of duty pending investigation." A sharp breath moved through the people. She turned back to him. "Hand over your badge." Hollister's hand shook as he unclipped it. The metal made a small sound as it hit her palm. A sound louder than thunder. Captain DuPont looked at him. You didn't see a woman, she said. You saw a target. She looked at Imani. You didn't see a citizen, she said to him. You saw a threat. She shook her head. You forgot who you work for. Hollister's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean. Imani spoke. You meant exactly what you said. Her voice was not loud. It was clean. It cut deeper. The teen started crying quietly. Imani turned to him. You're free to go, she said. He looked at her like she was a hero. Thank you, he whispered. He ran to his bus. People clapped. Not loud. Not wild. Soft. Respectful. Some wiped their eyes. One woman said, I'm sorry we didn't speak up sooner. Imani nodded. I understand, she said. Captain DuPont stepped closer to Imani. You okay? She asked. Imani exhaled slowly. I am now. She looked at the crowd. I grew up watching moments like this, she said. I decided I would become the ending I never saw. Her eyes glistened. But today, she said, you gave me a better ending. Hollister dropped to the bench. He covered his face. I didn't know, he said. Imani looked at him. You never wanted to know. She did not yell. She did not insult him. She only said one truth. Healing begins. Captain DuPont guided Hollister away. The crowd parted. Phones stayed up. History was being saved. Imani stood alone for a moment. Then a young girl stepped forward. She held her mother's hand. You're brave, the girl said. Imani smiled. So are you, she replied. Imani looked into the body camera one last time. And she said, respect is not given by uniforms. It is given by truth. Buses came. People moved. Rain softened. But something stayed in the air. Oh, quiet. Real. Imani walked out of the terminal. She did not walk fast. She did not walk proud. She walked free. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel right now. And tell us in the comments. Have you ever seen someone judged before they were known? Your voice keeps stories like this alive.